Here now, Nigeria's economy has been in the doldrums, and the quality of life in the country has trended so low that the country is now being described as the poverty headquarters of the world. As preparations for the 2023 elections continue to gather momentum, Nigerians are desirous to have a government and a leader that will address the multitude of problems in the country, as there is a sense of hopelessness and despair exacerbated by current macroeconomic challenges ranging from rising inflation, weak naira, epileptic power supply, poor capital inflows, amongst others. As expected, the 2023 elections is likely going to be a bit different from the past elections, as the electorates who have suffered several disappointments from politicians and are daily being weighed down by the burden of economic hardship, especially in recent times, are waiting to hear the content of manifestos across the parties for the 2023 elections. Well, joining me live in the studio to look at burning economic issues ahead of the 2023 election is no other person than the Chief Executive Officer of the Center for the Promotion of Private Enterprise, Dr. Muda Yusuf, immediate past DG of the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Thank you so much for your time, Dr. Yusuf.
Thank you, Tulu.
It's good to have you in the studio. I want to start with, there was this headline, even on The Economist this morning, saying the coming food catastrophe. That's looking at scarcity of grains and what that means for food security across the globe now. What do you think is really happening?
Well, the challenges of food insecurity had already manifested already. I mean, you talk to those who go to the market, yes, they will tell you that the crisis is already here, even before the headlines of the Economist magazine. And talking about burning issues, there are quite a number of issues that are burning, honestly, as far as the economy is concerned. First is the impact of the electioneering process on the economy, because the impacts are also quite significant. Second is the implication of the rising crude oil price. Ordinarily, this should be good news for us. Blessing. But unfortunately, it is not, because it has very serious implications for the increasing budget for subsidy, for fiscal deficits, and the challenges of funding the deficits, which by extension is an implication for the debt crisis that we have. Then we have the forex crisis. At least your previous guest, you were discussing forex, yes, but not from the perspective of the impact of the crisis on the economy, yeah, or on investments. But it is still a major issue as we speak. Then you have the challenge of the spiraling inflation. Yes. Of course, from your remarks, you alluded to the impact of inflation on poverty. Because inflation is the biggest accelerator of poverty. Then, of course, insecurity, which has been with us. That also has a major impact on the economy. So this is, for me, these are the key burning issues. And if you talk about the electioneering effect on the economy.
Yes, the spending. We've seen dollars everywhere.
It's amazing. It has both economic, yes, and business implications. Because when you see the spending, some people are also benefiting from the spending in business.
The printers,
printers, logistics.
Yes, logistics.
Those who own private jet companies.
Yeah, yeah.
Even media houses, with due respect.
True. Yes, you're correct. You're correct.
So quite a number of people also benefit. But in terms of the flip side of the economic implication, there is the liquidity implication of this. Because quite a number of spending are flowing into the system. And the more you have such spending in the system, the more you have an increase in liquidity, increase in money supply, and this also has inflationary implications. Because there's a surge in spending. Although we may not have the data at least to drive home this point. But certainly, there's already a surge in spending, and that has implications for liquidity in the economy. Then there is the implication for dollar scarcity. Before the elections, we were already grappling with liquidity crisis.
In that space.
In that space, in the foreign exchange market, in addition to the depreciation challenge in that market. So with the coming of these primaries and this electioneering gathering a lot more momentum, the scarcity of dollar crept in, and now today, as at yesterday, it was about 610.
610.
In the parallel market. Today, I hear that it's around 607 or thereabouts. But certainly, it has an implication for Forex, because the politicians are not competing with economic players for the Forex.
So there's more demand.
There's more demand.
And supply continues to dwindle.
Exactly. And the economic players cannot compete with politicians because the politicians have a lot more.
The war chest.
Yes, they have the war chest, as you call it. Then, of course, what has happened in the last few weeks also is a major manifestation of the level of corruption in the system. Because the bulk of these funds, or let me put it this way, the probability that the bulk of these funds are state funds is very, very high. If you see the manner in which these things are spent, the manner in which people go around with private jets as if they are taking Uber, these things are not cheap.
Yeah, they're not.
And look at the cost of forms, the cost of nomination forms, and the ease with which some people are even writing it off. That's okay, I'm no longer even interested and all of that. Close to this period, close to the election period, I met one of the presidential candidates at the airport. And he was on queue with us. And I really sympathize with him. Because while his competitors are flying around with jets and they can visit about 6-7 states in a day, he was queuing with us at the airport. I didn't tell him, but I felt for him. That how far can this man go in this process? And it's a no-brainer. Because it has become a race for those who have the money. Well, if these monies were monies that were generated out of the creation of value, fine. But the probability is that most of the funds are state funds. And it is worse for those of them that are incumbents, because they are sitting on the resources of the state. And yet they are playing actively in this space. So a lot of issues around the management of public funds manifested in this. Process. And also the issues of inequality. Because we are a nation that has extreme poverty. And how do you feel for somebody who is struggling to feed? And you see the way monies are flying around here and there. The delegates also became brides. People are after them all over the place. You know? So the monetization issues is then there is also the weakened political attention to the economy.
Yes.
Because when you are in this kind of season, what matters is the election. Whether you are talking about the executive or you are talking about the legislature.
There is that shift of focus from economic
completely.
Policies, economic issues.
Yes, economic issues.
All the focus goes straight to the elections.
Even implementation of projects, policy matters, even approval processes.
Yes. All put on
because if the person who is to approve is busy campaigning and going around, or you have a bill that is pending in the National Assembly at this time, I mean, good luck to you. Because people are busy. So, to that extent, the economy also suffers from this. Then there's the business implication.
Yeah, let's look at that.
Because when we talk about this thing as a business person, it's not so much your business, maybe where the money is coming from. It's about the business opportunities that are in that space. So quite a lot of people, because it's like following the money. These politicians are spending on media, they are spending on campaign logistics. Because all this crowd that you see, somebody is mobilizing them. It could be the same set of crowd that are attending the different rallies. Yes, it's a question of just changing their T-shirt and T-cap. Some people, that is their business, and this is their season. And it's a legitimate thing. You need crowd? Yes. They give you a bill, and they mobilize the crowd for you. Of course, they print souvenirs and all of that. The printers and all of them. They are also in business. Then you have even hospitality industries and so on.
Of course.
I mean, in Abuja, I can imagine what is happening to the hotels. In terms of booking, yes, fully booked. Air traffic to Abuja and all of that. These are also business implications. And when things like this happen, businesses are also supposed to position themselves to also take advantage. Of course, there are risks that this season poses for the economy. That's what we call policy risk. This is a transition period.
Yes, it is.
This is not a good time to embark on any long-term project, because you never can tell where this pendulum will swing politically. There could be a change of parties, political parties, or the ruling party. And if the ruling party doesn't change, there will be a change in the main actors in government. That has implications for policy. Even if it is the same party, policy can change. And it can have implications for investment. There's also what we call political risk. Political risk is the actions that are taken by the new political actors, which may hurt the project. I've seen instances where, for ongoing projects, because there's a change in government, payments for those projects were not made. As I speak to you, many of such payments are still outstanding, because not many of these politicians see government as a continuum.
Yes, the issue of continuity doesn't work for everyone.
They feel that, well, this is about the previous administration. This is my own administration. So whatever contract or you have with that person is your own headache.
Yes.
And because of the perception of all this expenditure, some of them also come with the mindset that you must have shared something with the previous person. So you carry your cross and move on.
Which is bad for business.
It is not good for business. There's also the risk for project continuity. There are projects that span across administrations. We have seen instances where a new government comes and they abandon those projects. That is also a risk that this season imposes. Then there is also macroeconomic risk. Because as we move towards these elections, a lot of spending by government will take place, and a lot of borrowing will also take place. Because when you are in this kind of situation, you don't want to care where the money is coming from. You just need the money. You want to spend it. Some reforms that you need to do, you will not be able to do them. For instance, this subsidy thing. You will not be able to do them.
I mean, you say it was more political than economic.
Yes.
That's that decision.
And the pressure is mounting by the day.
Yep.
Today, oil price is about 114. Yesterday, it was more than that. Now, of course, OPEC is meeting.
Yeah, they're meeting. We'll talk about that when
we are hoping that they will do something. But the point I'm making is that because of the season, because you don't want to also lose face with the electorate, whatever it costs to spend money, you will spend. And that has implications for deficit. It has implications for debt service. And it has implications for the general macroeconomic environment. Because the moment these variables are climbing, the deficit, the debt levels and all of that, money supply will increase, CBN financing or the deficit will increase, inflation will increase, foreign exchange rates will also begin to weaken. That is the nexus between all these fiscal activities and some of these macroeconomic variables. So these are the risks that some of these things, portend. The subsidy, the debt level, then the forex crisis.
That's the big elephant in the cupboard.
It's a big one. And the forex situation has a global dimension. It has a domestic dimension. The global dimension is what we see with all these challenges with crude oil and all of that, particularly during pandemic. But now, the crude oil price has gone up. We are an oil-producing country. So by now, our reserves should have been getting more robust. Our exchange rate should have been getting stronger. But the reverse is the case. And we are about the only country that is in this situation, possibly also Venezuela, that is in this kind of situation.
Because we don't refine.
Because we don't refine. That is one major issue. So what comes in goes out. And because the import bill is also rising. Because as the crude oil price rises, the import bill also increases. Whether we are talking of PMS, we are talking of diesel and all of that. And for those in the deregulated space, the pressure they are facing. Cost of diesel, cost of aviation fuel, cost of gas. It's killing.
Killing at the moment,
At the moment for businesses. So it's a major crisis that we are dealing with. The domestic factor is the forex policy itself. We cannot overflog this matter.
We've spoken about this and
we have said it severally. But the CBN keeps saying that they have a homegrown solution. So what we are seeing is more or less a homegrown policy. But whether that is working for us or not, it's for everybody to see. We are now faced with a situation where, because of the current forex policy, we are seeing a gap of close to 180 between the official window and the parallel market window. And that is a major source of distortion, no matter how you look at it. That is one implication. The second implication is that it is obstructing the inflow of foreign exchange into this economy. Foreign exchange should be coming in from foreign direct inflows. It should be coming in from portfolio inflows. It should be coming in from export proceeds. It should be coming in from diaspora remittances. It should be coming in from the embassies. It should be coming in from even the oil companies. But we have imposed a policy that is obstructing this inflow. Because if you have a policy regime where you have fixed an exchange rate at a level that you don't have the capacity to supply, then you create a whole lot of crises. And that is the crisis we are dealing with. It is bad enough that you have this challenge with using a whole lot of our forests to be importing petroleum products. But this situation has been compounded because you don't have a market-driven exchange rate.
But the fear is it could get out of the board if that happens.
Is it not already out of hand? We are talking about 600 plus.
And it will go higher if that happens? If
no.
you open up to demand and supply?
If you open up, the advantage it has is that it will increase your supply in the non-oil window. FDI, go and check the capital inflows. Is it not declining?
It is. It is.
How many investors do you want to talk to and advise to come and invest in this country and bring their forex and come and exchange their forex for 416 or 418?
When they can get at 600 and...
Yes. And they can't go to that other window because it's illegal. So effectively, you have created a barrier for all these other sources, for forex to come from those other sources. And the implication of that again, you have driven a lot of businesses underground. And not many people who have decent business systems or who are corporate governance compliant, that we want to go through all this under the grand economy. They want to do things that are legitimate, that is in compliance with the prevailing regulations. So I'm just emphasizing this point that our foreign exchange policy is compounding the problem. I'm not discounting the external factors, but your domestic policy must be right. We cannot have this kind of situation. Now the government doesn't have money, and in the budget, the exchange rate that is used to compute inflows is around 416 or 417 or whatever it is. Is that not even shortchanging the government itself? No, these are issues.
A lot said, a lot covered with your submission, well detailed. But I'm looking ahead because we are in this already, and I'm looking at the outlook, and of course all of the headwinds that we face. We've identified many of them. But what do you think? What are the quick wins for us so that we can at least get out of all of this one way or the other before we move to 2023 and see whatever we'll be getting as we expect change of guard, at least from President Buhari to another president?
You see, there are very limited quick wins.
Because of the timing, too.
Because of the timing. Because one of the things normally that should happen is to begin to ease away from the pressure of this subsidy. Because the way it is going,
I had 6 trillion.
Yes, that's IMF or World Bank.
Yes.
It could get to that. And it's not just about the fuel, it's also, there's a corruption component
of it. Smuggling.
There's a smuggling component.
Aspect of it.
Then on top of that, those who are the haulage, the transporters, those who are moving the fuel, they are saying that the government is owing them 500 billion. That is still on one side. I know how powerful they can be. If they say they want to go on strike, everybody will become nervous and quickly go to the treasury and quickly settle them. You know, so, but dealing with subsidy at this time is possibly a no-go area because of the political something. But dealing with the forex policy, for me, is a low-hanging fruit. This policy doesn't cost money. It's for you to create an environment that will increase liquidity in this other window. We are not talking about CBN Forex now. We are talking about all these autonomous markets. Because when you say that the I-in window is the market, the I-in window is not a market. It's an allocation platform. Because if you talk of a market, whatever you want to buy in the market,
you get it.
Once you have your money, you get it. It may be expensive, but you get it and you walk away. But what percentage of demand is being met in the I-in window? So I don't know why the CBN is so rigid about this. And some people are making a kill from this.
A lot of money.
It's a lot of money. Why should we encourage that kind of thing?
Even BTAs and PTAs are being delayed at the moment.
Of course.
I asked the question that, don't you think that even the BDCs that were off allocation, I think, I don't know, but...
Has that solved any problem?
Nothing. It hasn't.
It has not solved any problem. Because we have not dealt with the fundamentals. And yet, everybody is dancing around the issue. I don't know why. So for me, the policy issue, the forex issue is for me something that can be dealt with very quickly, but I'm not optimistic that it will happen. Because the CBN is very rigid on this, and apparently I'm not sure anybody can prevail on the CBN governor. The other thing that can happen is if we're able to see an accelerated move around local refining of petroleum products.
That will help reduce...
It will reduce the pressure.
That pressure.
Yes, it will help reduce it. Then insecurity. That's another big issue. Insecurity is affecting the economy. It's contributing to inflation. It's contributing to unemployment. So, again, I don't know whether there's a quick fix around that. Maybe there's a review of strategy. We can see, but again, the situation seems to be intractable. Only yesterday I heard that even around Kaduna area, some people are still kidnapped. You heard the story of the Methodist
Yes.
prelate.
Yes.
So it's neither here nor there. Then the problem of corruption and all of these things, those things are still, but whatever we can do around our fiscal policy, maybe we can review some of our tariffs and see what we can tinker with to reduce the pressure on the citizens. You can get the fiscal policy authorities to tone down their pressure on revenue generation. Yeah. I don't say that I'm not saying they don't need revenue. But when you pursue revenue to the point that you are hurting investment and you are hurting the very citizens that you say you are protecting, then there's a problem.
Wow.
So those are the areas I think we can begin to look at.
Honestly, passionate and interesting conversation there as usual from Dr. Muda Yusuf. You won't expect anything less. He's the Chief Executive Officer at the Center for the Promotion of Private Enterprises there, telling us some of the quick wins, particularly with regards to Forex and other issues as we move to the 2023 elections. Thank you so much for your time on the show. It's always interesting having you. Thank you so much.
It's a pleasure.
Thank you so much.